Buenas tardes a los que se están.
Good afternoon. People that are setting up the mezzanine, please come down to the ground floor so we can all stick closer together and save space. Good afternoon, one and all. It's a pleasure to be here in Rio, beginning the 8th Global Forum of the Milan Pact. Thank you to the people for joining us remotely and in person as well. Rio de Janeiro, Milan, and with Belo Horizonte are doing joint work, so I want to thank this collaboration with Rosario and Belo Horizonte for the organization of this regional forum, and we're happy to have the first global forum in South America. Bernardo, please. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bernardo Ribeiro. I'm Director of International Relations at the Belo Horizonte Municipal Government. It's a huge pleasure to welcome you all here, that we welcome you all here, Maria, right, to this regional, Latin American Regional Forum of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. This regional forum is extremely important because the impact and food policy achievements in the region have specificities that need to be treated with specifically. Our challenges and the ways by which food security impacts Latin American populations are specific, and the treatment that we wish to assign to them as far as to be able to make progress with this agenda, observing the most necessary points for our our populations. To begin with these initial comments, we want to thank all the speakers here, and we have people from all the region. Of course, we have the Vice Anna Scauzo from Milan, Rosario, Paulo Rapkin, and the Secretariat of the City of Belo Horizonte and the City of Rio de Janeiro. To begin with these initial comments, we'll turn the floor over to Ariel Capio, the coordinator of Carioca food programs in Rio de Janeiro. Thank you, one and all who've come here. I want to thank the speakers, the participants. You're all welcome to Rio de Janeiro. And it's important for us to talk about the issue of food security, especially in community areas, low-income communities. It's where we have the largest population of vulnerable populations with the most degraded areas of the city. The program have 57 different units in the city divided into between schools and low-income community areas and feeding. In all the program, we've reached more than 60,000 families that are helped through this program. These people are supplied with the foods that they produce themselves. They distribute it amongst themselves through small-scale organizations. The municipal government always encourages and backs this over the course of the 6 years of our program. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here publicizing on work and invite all of you on Wednesday for us to visit one of our community vegetable gardens. It's a agroforestry unit. It was an area that was occupied and settled and organized and has been for some time now. So you're all welcome. Thank you very much. We also invite the Joint Secretary for Economic Development of the city of Yara Saris from the city of Belo Horizonte for her opening remarks. Good afternoon, one and all. Thank you very much to everyone participating. I want to greet the other speakers and thank you for the opportunity through the organization of this forum to discuss such an important agenda item, both for the local government, for local governments, and issues relating to the global agenda as well. It's an agenda which today, as was reiterated in the opening session today by the authorities who were attending here and participating, it engages in close dialogue with, so local government. It's a pressing issue at the city, the local level, there's a demand for, given a situation of conceiving alternatives for food security combined with the issue of climate change. So these are agendas that we can no longer even separate. Day by day, steadily, they converge all the more. And the position that I occupy today, in my position, we have two major responsibilities, i.e. the promotion of economic development through actions allowing international dialogue, facilitating the implementation of local public policies in compliance with the demands of the global agendas and consistent with them, and without a shadow of a doubt, food security and climate change are the two intertwining, pressing, urgent agendas that we have in our hands. So, therefore, this opportunity here today is extremely important for us public administrators who are facing a huge challenge and a huge responsibility, that is to serve the needs of human decency, which is good quality food, guaranteeing well-being and survival even in society. So I wish you all wonderful and fruitful work in the forum with fruitful seminars. May they emerge from our discussions. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to the Secretary. Now here, the Mayor of Rosario, Pablo Joaquin. Good afternoon. First of all, obviously, I want to greet one and all, especially the Secretary of Economic Development of Belo Horizonte and the representative from Rio, the Vice Mayor of Milan, and acknowledging this forum for the first time in Latin America. And I want to thank both Milan and Rio de Janeiro for the huge effort that they put into it, organizing it. We're convinced, all of us, that global problems, as has been said, we should think of them at the local level, think of them at the global level, but solve them at the local level. The climate action plan for transition, the cities are the ones that end up being effective when it comes to establishing climate justice. Climate justice not only is built thinking globally, but acting in the territory and next to and together with our people in the most difficult places for our people. And in our continent, specifically in the Americas, South America, we have this sad record of being the most unequal continent in the world in terms of territory and access to rights. But these rights must be won at the local level. We're going to exchange views with the view towards this, with each of us with our experiences in a network of cities. which we decided to design in food sovereignty, not only in terms of theoretical terms, but also in how to build food sovereignty in our unequal territories close to the cultural. It means a cultural change for our people. This changed the geography of our cities even. I think that this experience is what is rich for exchanging this regional form, obviously coinciding in some senses with other regions. We have a huge responsibility with Juiz de Fora, combining with the vice presidency and the regional forum for Latin America. We want the international forum, to serve, to coordinate experiences and to learn, and to understand that this is not just no longer, it's a vertical world, it's a horizontal world. And horizontality in the world is what we want for our cities, horizontal relations, and with this same calling to integrate all the networks of cities that are involved in this endeavor. And I believe that in addition to this, in terms of climate justice, Medellin has a lot to say to promote a regional forum with a demand in our territories, in a situation of protection for our natural resources. And I'll conclude on this point, the funding, global funding, when policies are specific and are truly rooted in the territories and the places where we live. So thank you very much indeed. And it's a huge pleasure for us from Medellin to be here and to coordinate this panel, and of course, to participate in all the activities. Finally, I want to invite the Vice President, Ana Scavuzzo, for her words.
Floor from the top, because I would like to thank you in front of all of us and in a formal way and with a specific, for your specific efforts. Thank you. For us and for the Milan Pact, it's very important this morning and the chance that you prepare in these times. And I address my speech to all the mayors, to the city delegates, the distinguished authorities here in this room, and all the representatives of partner organizations. I think it's very important on behalf of the City of Milan, chair of the Pact, to open in a formal way this Milan-Urban Food Policy Pact Regional Forum for South America, also to underline the importance that the Pact wants to give to this process, to the process of the regionalization forum. I would like to thank, first of all, the mayors of Belo Horizonte, mayor of Rosario, and their amazing teams. Also because we need, for organizing such an important event, we need a lot of people working together for the same aim and for the same goal. I think it's very important, this chance for us, also because you stimulate Milan Pact's regionalization process, and you have the chance to commit cities to further work together on urban food policies. We know, and also in the last speech I had at the ceremony of open ceremony, I have to stress the importance of regional fora, because these meetings are a formidable trigger for further exchanges and joint advancement in urban food policies transformation. Also because we want to have cities as main players, not just in some way part of the network, but protagonists of this action. Over the last couple of years, the Milan Pact Secretariat has been working even harder on supporting the world of city at regional level as crucial occasion of a wider engagement for our network. Last year we were in Barcelona, and the steering committee members developed a regionalization process action plan. We set goals for all regions to be achieved during the mandate. And let me take this opportunity to congratulate the steering committee representative from South America, Belo, Horizonte, and Rosario, for the leadership they have and for having fully achieved their goals. The Milan Pact, as we said more than once, provides a dynamic platform for cities wanting to develop sustainable food system. And I want to underline once again that sustainable food systems are inclusive, resilient, safe, and diverse. And the approach of our mayors have to be pragmatic and linked to communities, engaging also communities. Nobody better than mayors can work in this way. And sustainable food system ensure healthy and affordable food to all people in a human right-based framework. I think it's very important for us never forget this holistic framework. And this approach, the Milan Pact has, I am particularly pleased that the main exchange in this forum is around innovative practices on food security and nutrition, as they are key topics in the South American region. Speaking of your effort, it's a great pleasure to acknowledge how vividly South American cities have committed to transforming their food systems, both from the political and the technical point of view. This has been proved also by a great participation in the Milan Pact this year, thanks to all the cities that took part and sent practices. I encourage you to work even more in the next years, to work together on the establishment of food policies and strategies in a strong synergy with civil society, the community, people, families, children, association, committee, guaranteeing access to safe, nutritious, sufficient food for the entire population, with special emphasis on reducing hunger in children and women from vulnerable groups. That is a key goal that can only be reached with strong and wider partnerships. Never forget SDG number 17, above all in cities. As we work together and considering the present period, not so easy, characterized by complex challenges, we should all keep climate change mitigation and adaptation policies as key tools to shape more sustainable food system. Promoting innovative agro-ecological production with attention to family and cooperative agro-industry. We can positively impact local markets and give more room to sustainable production. I think that from South America, this could be even a very important key tool for the entire world. And to do so, we can strengthen linkages with the metropolitan authorities in the attempt to guarantee the best possible context, both for food production and for food consumption. Let me conclude also greeting our colleagues also connected online from the Mercosudades network. I firmly believe that our two organizations would benefit from working together. Mercosudades has been active for over 25 years with members from all around the continent, thus gaining an extensive knowledge of cities' actions and challenges in the region. I hope that we can join forces soon to strengthen together food system transformation in South America. It's my belief that collaboration among practitioners is the inspiration that we need to shape better governments for our cities. Concerning the focus on social inclusion and climate justice, I'm sure that cities from South America will contribute to strengthening the Million Urban Food Policy Pact globally. I wish you all a fruitful regional forum. I thank once again the mayors, and I think it's very important. This is a very important milestone for our community. So thank you very much, and have a great forum.
Gracias. Muchísimas gracias a la
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor of Milan, for your words, and thank you all. This session is closed. We'd like to thank you. We'd like to invite now the moderators, Marina Moratello, the coordinator I think it might be interesting before we go into the technical session. It would be nice if we could update you on the leadership plan and what the next steps are, which you will get, and also talk a little bit about the activities we have prepared for you today very rapidly so we don't take too much of your time. As Vice Mayor Scavuso said, we took on the responsibility of leading in South America, Belo Horizonte and Rosario together. And the event today, the organization of the regional forum today, is culminating, but it's not coming to a conclusion, actually. This work that we're handing over to the Pact of Milan. We'll hold 2 webinars soon where we will advance in the agenda of food security, trying to bring more knowledge so that those cities that are still building their agendas can benefit from that, and also bring knowledge in terms of development, inclusion, and the best ways of bringing innovation into the food security agenda. Soon you will get that invitation, but I would like to tell you that you should save that date. Soon we will send you the invitation. Today, the idea is that we also bring to you significant advances so that our region can hold hands and lead the policy together. Locally, it doesn't mean inside municipalities only. It means municipalities walking together hand in hand. So in the next panel, which will be led by Marina and Juliana, we are proposing to think about innovation beyond assuring food security, but talking about sustainability, climate change, for all policies enforced around the topic. And then we propose a summit where we would like to discuss with the authorities present here the pathways that are interesting for South America, not only for the states and municipalities, but for South America as a region in food security with all of these new topics and pressures we've been receiving. Pressure of climate change, price increase, inflation, access to food, the impact it has on the most disinvested populations. We want to advance in addition to everything we've done already. So today is not the end of anything. It is the beginning of it all. So together with all of you, would like to lead the future up until 2030 and 50, talking about sustainability, economic development, and food security for the continent as a whole. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we'd like to give the floor again to the authorities present here, and we will invite the next moderators from Belo Horizonte and Rosario, Marina and Juliana. And we'd like to give the floor to the Executive Secretariat of Mercocidades. So a hand of applause to all of you. Thank you. Thank you for your time and your dedication.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much.
Senhoras e senhores, boa tarde.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Now we'll start innovative practices in nutritional and food security. We'd like to ask you to have on silent mode all your devices. I'm Juliana Matos, Director of Food Supply, representing Belo Horizonte. And I am going to moderate together with Marina Borgatello, coordinator of the strategic program Calidad Nutricional from Rosario. Now I'd like to invite Altaro Lorenzo, Executive Secretary of Mercocidades, for the introduction.
Boa tarde.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm going to hit you with a good old Portuñol. The Mercocidades network has more than 600 member cities. It involves more than 10 countries of the region with more than 120 million people. Our network has more than 26 years of existence, and it works around the topics of local governments: gender, environment issues, climate justice, participation, democracy. Little by little, the network became more bureaucratic and needed more technical expertise. So over the last years, we had to face something, the issue of Kumbuka, which is the need for food. But this has to do with the climate also. The network has been working around the environmental issues and climate justice topics. We've held several events and addressing the environmental issues. And the topic, the most important problem we have identified in Latin America is the fact that it has 8% of the world population, and it emits only 8% of the greenhouse gases, but it suffers the consequences of climate change. There's a lot of drought, very strong climate effects, and it's extreme weather events, and it's difficult to work on adaptation. And the problem related to food production and supply is important because climate change is causing droughts and migration. And people are being displaced. And this is related to the climate change. The environment changes, the habitat changes, and the possibilities in cities also change as a consequence. Our continent has more than 80% of its population in cities. So climate changes have increased the vulnerability in terms of food availability. So in this forum, we should address this. We should include in the agenda these problems. We should talk about climate justice. As the mayor of Rosario said, we need funding to support these initiatives. And we need a clear accountability. It is not just other regions that are to be made accountable. And in South America, we should take responsibility for these events. It is a forum, it is an initiative that should include this topic in the agenda. Thank you. Thank you, Lautaro, for the introduction. It is a pleasure now to welcome you to the technical session. We want to share innovative solutions and talk about nutritional and food security. Today, we'll listen to the experiences of Araraquara in Brazil, Chile, Ecuador, Medellin, Colombia, and São Paulo, Brazil. Each one of the presenters will have 7 minutes for their presentations. After everyone has shared their experiences, we'll then invite you for the panel and we'll open for questions from the audience. We'd like to invite now Jaqueline Pereira Barbosa, Municipal Secretary of Social Development, and Silvani Silva, Executive Coordinator of Agriculture from Araraquara.
Boa tarde.
Hello, good afternoon. It's an honor to be here and to be able to share with you the experience of Araraquara. If you don't know us, well, it is a city in the inlands of São Paulo. It is governed by Mayor Edinho Silva, whom we are now representing. And since it's the beginning of its mandate, he's been trying to emphasize social protection and the well-being of all citizens of the city. So to achieve that, we have been enforcing some policies so that we can ensure social protection. Araraquara has two important public policies in the same mandate. I'm Jaqueline. I am Secretary of Social Service and Development, and we are managing social services and food security policies in the same department. And Silvani is the coordinator of this session. Araraquara is developing a governance strategy that is called Araraquara Without Hunger. And as part of its strategy, it has different programs that were developed before the strategy and that was developed during our term. It was the decision of the municipal government. They decided to invest on the social protection of our municipalities. We have 7,000 families that were in the situation of extreme poverty. So we thought, together with different secretariats and departments of our government, we thought about a way of protecting them, of taking care of hunger and social protection, providing them a more dignified way of living. So we work on 7 areas in this program called Araraquara Without Hunger. One of them is food security, social services, local sustainable agriculture, creative farming, and the solidarity network. We have here some of our programs, but what we bring to you in terms of innovation, in addition and far beyond the programs that were developed under this umbrella of generation of income and access to sustainable development, food security, investment of family farming. In addition to all that, we bring the idea that we need an articulated joint strategy amongst all programs, not only in its core secretariat, but including a multi-department approach. So these are some of the programs. One of them is Bolsa Cidadania. It is a food tickets program where the family takes courses and trainings and is followed and monitored by the social services department. And together with the Secretariat of Development and Labor, they take different courses. Children need to be in school, they need to be going to a healthcare service, and they then get this food ticket. This is to provide healthy food, healthy meals, so the family can go to the supermarket and be independent in choosing whatever it is that their family wants and can afford. So we try to get away from the emergency food basket. PIS is an income transfer of program articulated with different secretariats. The family will receive 930 reais as an income, and then they can go to formal education, they can take training courses, be inserted in different social service programs. The Young Citizen Program is a trainee program. So every year we do a study of young people at risk, so they can take a trainee program, go to training courses, go to high school and upper level education. And also one of the Filhos do Sol, children of the sun, this is for those teenagers that are in a risk situation. And in addition to having a dignified way of life, we want to provide them with income so that we can compete with drug trafficking and other illicit forms of income. This is for young adolescents and youth that are at risk. And then we have other programs. We could share them with you. We have several others, as you can see, regarding food and food security. But I'm now going to give the floor to Silvani. But before that, I'd like to tell you that the most important issue to guarantee that the municipality can provide social protection of its people is the attitude. It's just a management issue. It depends on budgetary issues, of course. This is an important topic, especially in a country like ours, where transfer of funds is so important, and the municipality has had the burden of most of the costs of these social services programs. But it is in the city that people live. So it is the municipal government that needs to think about ways of ensuring social protection and food security for its people. Hello, everyone. It is a great pleasure to be here to talk about our strategy to fight hunger in Araraquara. Our actions are based on sustainable development goals. And since we don't have enough time, our time is almost up, I'd like to say that we start thinking about food security in the rural areas, in the fields. So we have the programs for sustainable farming. And there's something that is very important, taking care of the soil, the land. In our municipality, we develop a program for all farmers called soil analysis. This is provided in such a way that farmers can analyze their soil. We're always talking about environmental issues, but very often we forget about Mother Earth. So that is why we're providing our farmers and those people who provide them with products, we provide a quality of the soil analysis. Also, we have the agricultural monitors. So the farmers, through this program, can contract machinery, heavy machinery, to take care of their land. As part of this program, I'm quite sure we have advanced in the issue of the inspection stamp. So we went from a level where the municipal inspection stamp was given to beef products, and that was based on quality. We took that to agriculture as well. So small farmers could get over all the bureaucratic obstacles that they were facing. With so many criteria, and only large companies could reach the market. So local small farmers can provide their cheese, the beef, and poultry products, etc. So talking about agriculture, we have P+. It is a program for social interest agriculture, whereby the city purchases products from the small farmers and provides those products to farmers that are receiving food aid. This program is important because we have been seeing very often the basic food basket, but we need to overcome nutritional hunger. How can you do that? By providing vegetables, fruits, proteins to vulnerable families. That is why this program is so important. We should stop having an unbalanced diet. That is why these programs are so important. In terms of food, we should stress the food bank of Araraquara. Araraquara is a pioneer. This food bank has done a wonderful job, especially in terms of working to avoid waste. It is not the waste where we use products that no longer have market value. We're processing products so as to avoid them being discarded too soon. So in addition to removing them from the supermarket, where they no longer have marketing value, we are processing that food so that it becomes totally nutritional, because we're transforming that into food, jam and juices, and that has provided a lot of savings for the municipality and is saving money. We also prepare frozen bread, and then we give them as food aid to vulnerable families. Unisoja is producing soybean milk for families with lactose intolerant children, and the fruit and vegetable baskets that come from the P-Mais program. I'm about to conclude, just a minute. I think that was it. Just one more slide. Well, and to conclude, this is a quote by our mayor, and he says, "Fighting hunger is the #1 challenge to be faced, so we can guarantee right to adequate nutrition. Without that, you cannot develop any activity, be it educational or productive, because nothing is more harmful to human dignity than starvation and hunger." Once this obstacle is overcome, the main challenge is to continue integrating efforts between civil society and the government. This has been the main focus and the main learning point on which the Araraquara Without Hunger strategy is based. And we are searching for a more fair, fraternal, and solidary society. This is our role. Thank you.
We thank Silvani and Jacqueline with such rich contributions to this short discussion. I'm going to talk about some highlights from. There are a lot of points that we could explore further, but one of them is the diversity of programs that the municipalities have, demonstrating political will, which was discussed here earlier in the opening session, to the forum as a factor. It's extremely important to be able to do any food and nutritional security intervention, so activities not only in production, but also income generation and solidarity economy, which is very interesting. The actions as well, intersector actions, which are another important factor in Belo Horizonte. We always work with intersector actions because alone we aren't able to make much progress. And when we combine all the partners in the same effort, we're able to make much further progress, and technical assistance to the farmers as well. It's another point which I highlight here in the intervention by the two of them. I want to thank you both, Silvani and Jacqueline, and now Vanessa Velasquez, the Secretary of Community Development in Ecuador, for her case. Good afternoon to everyone here. I am Vanessa Velasquez. I've come from Chones, the largest community in Maraví in Ecuador. Our population works with farm production and livestock. We're approximately 150,000 inhabitants in Chone. The place that I come from has fertile land where we produce the best cocoa in the world, where we produce the citric fruits, dairy products. Janeiro cheese, the Janeiro cheese is the best of Ecuador. At other levels of production, the pressure towards exportation, the lack of information in healthy practices, in nutritional practices, and poverty themselves all affect our population under the terrible face of malnutrition, undernutrition. Currently, there is a high rate of minor malnutrition in Ecuador. 1 out of every 3 children in their early childhood suffer from minor malnutrition. We lag behind Guatemala. Our youngsters who don't receive enough nutrients for their mental and physical growth look like in Ecuador, Maravi in our province, in our city, in Chone. But we're concerned and worried about the situation. The municipality of Chone seeks to contain and prevent malnutrition in children, and it created a wonderful program called Happy Bread, and children from 1 to 5 years, early childhood, preschoolers, various different areas in our community where they had the highest rates of undernutrition to be able to do direct participation with the communities. The adventure that I'm going to explain to you now. The challenge, childhood malnutrition affects 3 out of every 10 children under 2 years of age in Ecuador. We are the second countries with the highest prevalence of malnutrition, in one of the highest after Guatemala. 60% of them are in urban areas, especially in Quito, and the second province in Ecuador is Manabí, where I come from, Manabí. And as well, 40% of the highest rates are in the rural areas. It's counterproductive because that's where people sow and reap. Chone is an extremely fertile land. The land there, the soil, what you sow as you sow, you shall reap, has the highest production of citric fruits in Ecuador. And we're also leaders in cheese, dairy products, and meat products. Chone is a community with 36% of its population living in the countryside. It is large, but almost all of the population is not urban, it's rural. There are differences, they're scattered around between one and another settlement. Can we forward the slides, please? Advance the slides. We work under process of development communities with infrastructure and basic services. Obviously, comprehensive development of our communities. We have training and consultancy for business undertakings, but we're working all of this with community development, which should be a multi-actor approach. Our government cannot address the problem alone. We need the community involved, and so we work hand in hand with numerous businesses in the health sector. We have agreements currently with the Ministry of Public Health, which is a government agency, to provide care. And here emerged the idea of working on the Happy Bread rolls. Through our approach to them and the agreements, we were able to focus in the lines where we have the highest rates of malnutrition in the community through all of the medical follow-up. When the pregnant woman enters into the process, and when the infant is born up to 2 years of age, the public policy, it's a priority. Both the pregnant women and the infants and breastfeeding infants. Newborns and infants, there should be added value products with local added value. Each step should have evidence and records of what's done. From the beginning of our project, we have done comprehensive records of everything. First, with the information survey to be able to know in depth the children that we're going to serve, and to know what form of feeding, to be able to have the project grounded in the nutritional area. In the future, there should be shared responsibility, a call to action for each family. We've been doing this because with the children, currently we have approached through all the history of hand in hand with the families. Later on, I'm going to explain about the 5 different lines of action that we adopt. Can advance that one, okay? Tools, back one. Okay, this is the starting date. Today, after 4 months in this project, we only have 22 children in a chronic state. We began with the high group, over 55 children. We have 63% of them who don't consume any fruit on a daily basis. 70% do not eat vegetables every day. 50% have vegetal protein once a week or once in a while. And we treat now 510 children in the first phase. We should highlight that we're going to begin the second phase with the other areas where we estimate reaching comprehensive care for 2,000 children. These are the components that we have, the 5 different components. Originally, this project started with a survey, an original survey of information, where we had baseline information with follow-up and results of anthropology, habits, overall health status, and dental health status. We did a group of experts working on the project and the medical team where we measured, measured and weighed the children. We did blood tests in each of them where we were able to obtain real information at baseline. Each month, we do a survey of information with them where we weigh them and measure them again, and we can see their evolution and progress. Obviously, the medical side has allowed us to have chronic nutrition and identify it in a large, and we've managed to treat them and shift them out of severe nutrition. Our land and soil is extremely fertile. You sow the seeds and a tree will grow. With the original baseline data that we did an information survey, we began to understand a little bit more about the feeding practices, probably not the correct form. It's the way they've been working with ancestral practices, and we were able to establish a varied menu from Monday to Friday with food generating some 90 cents or $1 a day to feed a family of 5 people. This meant that there were children who did not eat on the tea and with a cooked banana per day, which did not feed their physical or mental development. So with this concern, we began to work hand in hand with the local businesses to also develop the local economy in Chone, and based on the diets that we created with our nutritionist team, we had a varied menu from Monday to Friday, where formerly we were able to guarantee a diet with 1 meal a day for the group that we had of happy bread. As I said, this is what I was commenting on just a minute ago, nutrition. So the team reaches to these 4 areas in extreme poverty from Monday to Friday. The kit, rather, we promoted the neighborhood vegetable gardens, and FAO facilitated the areas, and today generating the community vegetable gardens in each of these 4 neighborhoods. But we've gone further now. We're doing home gardens. We're teaching people, each of the parents in happy bread rolls, how to feed properly with totally ecological and sustainable production. Their children, through the seeds, we have the Addis, which is a practical system where you can grow anywhere in the house, and we also have to have their room, the vegetable gardens and orchards with the air of productive development and with their technicians, and we teach them how to be able to sow the seeds and cultivate the land. And these are the nutritional guides from parent to teach them how to eat properly, teach your children how to eat properly, and they're going to be based on the community, neighborhood, and home gardens. These are the actors and players, the stakeholders. As I commented yesterday, we are also using this we have each of the local businesses. We have the Ministry of Health, which has been a strategic ally for us, and we are working with them on all the diagnosis. We have FAO and Ray Couto, it's supporting us with information and administrative processes in knowledge and international experience and benchmarking. We have the community, which is empowered now, and we're working hand in hand in this project, since they're the ones that promote and make our project sustainable in the private sector, in medical care, in the dental care, comprehensive dental care, medical team, and clinical laboratories. It doesn't cost anything for the municipality, but it benefits the community and especially the children. And hence, we have a comprehensive part of what we're doing in Pancitas, our Happy Bread project. Can we see the next one? So, as lessons learned, we can say that we have a systematic approach based on the monitoring and data alliances at all different levels, internally with the municipality and globally, and we have participation by each and every one of the stakeholders in the communities. Challenges are sustainability, comprehensive improvement to improve the family life, and we're already in a process. The Canton Choni Council said we're continuing with the second phase of the project. The results have been measured here, and God willing, we'll have some 90% of the children in permanent development in this project. So that was all. Thank you very much. I believe that's all. So I want to thank you all for your kind attention. And we are extremely proud to be here today. We are a small town in a small country. So it's a huge pleasure and a source of pride for us to be here sharing with you and exchanging experiences. Pancentas, the Happy Bread, it's a great project. It generates a number of tools to fight childhood malnutrition, which, as you said, is affecting 3 out of every 10 children. And all of the components in the project are extremely interesting, but I would like to highlight the importance of building data, not only for working seriously on specific population, but for subsequent monitoring and to see how they truly impact the policies that we are applying. So I congratulate you, and this is a great initiative. Now, we are going to share with you the experience from Medellin in Colombia. Okay, São Paulo. Well, had a problem between connection, and so we'll turn the floor over to São Paulo. São Paulo, Carlos Fernandez will be speaking, who is this Executive Secretary of Food and Nutritional Security in the city of São Paulo.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to present to you on behalf of the city of São Paulo, talking about food security. São Paulo is a little tiny bit bigger than your municipality, but the challenges, I may say, are the same. The social inequalities are huge, and we need to worry about food security with our population as well. I'd like to tell you about São Paulo. That's the city where we have social actions for food banks, distribution of food baskets, the Bom Prato Paulistano, the distribution of meals in popular restaurants in São Paulo. We have a program now, and we are concerned with the fact that there are 2 meals available in public schools for children. Always considering the issue of food security, and the decision about the meals must be in line with sustainability and the environment. I'd like to provide to you an experience. We're not meeting the needs of the city of São Paulo. We have the whole metropolitan area in this megalopolis. Plus, in São Paulo, we had a successful program that won an award by Bloomberg. It is Legal Pontos. It is more than 450 farmers that São Paulo has. In São Paulo, 48% of its area has a forest coverage. It is a natural forest, the Atlantic forest. This is where the most important water basins are that supply our city. That is, having that in mind, we developed this project that won an award by Bloomberg to provide a bigger income to the farmers by providing them with technical support, with agricultural inspection, composting. We provide composting based on the waste of public markets in São Paulo, and we provide that to the local farmers so they can improve their products. The focus of the program is to improve the income so the farmers will not migrate. If they have an income, they will protect the water basins, they will protect the land. They will not migrate, and the land will not be subject to real estate development. They are friends of the environment. They are not enemies. So we live with those regional farmers, establishing with them a partnership in preserving the environment. In addition to this issue of inputs, and the name says that, Liga os pontos, it means connect the dots. So we connect the rural agricultural area in the south of São Paulo to the markets, so they can gain the markets, can gain income. So on the side of selling and production, always focusing on preservation, good agricultural practices, aiming at agro-ecology. So we won several awards, Bloomberg Award and several others with this program. Another challenge now that we are facing is the fact that the city recently has been receiving payment for environmental services with a focus on the preservation of the city environment. This is also going to enforce agricultural production, so these farmers enforcing good practices, be it through agroecology or harvesting in general, they can be our inspectors, our environmental inspectors, so to speak. Also, from the logistical point of view and food distribution, and we've spoken about this before, I'd like to tell you that São Paulo has just started to develop a practice which is called the Solidarity Warehouse for low-income population, those that make up to 2 minimum wages. We will implement markets with 30% lower cost as compared to local markets of the region. In doing so, these people will be independent to make their own purchase choices. They'll be able to not only get the basic food basket, but they'll be able to choose from a list of brands and products. They will have a focus on good nutritional choices. I always say they will not get orange juice in a box that has 20% sugar, 5% juice, and the rest is water. They will get good products available, very balanced from the nutritional point of view. Our concern in providing good nutritionally balanced diet is the focus. We have 29 municipal markets in the city, 960 open fairs. It moves more than 50,000 workers in the public markets. There are organic markets. We have approximately street markets, okay? We have several urban vegetable gardens. So these are the challenges. There are numerous. We want to improve the quality of production. We want to feed our population better, we have to implement good practices, and we want to focus on the most disenfranchised in the city. This is the commitment of our Mayor, Ricardo Nunes. Thank you. Thank you, Mateus, for sharing the experience of São Paulo. All is very comprehensive, bringing to us the whole supply chain, connecting the dots, not only of production, but of food supply and nutritional and food education. We'd like to invite now Mr. Hugo Dias Marin from Medellin, director of the Unidad Buen Comienzo, and he will be with us online.
Ele vai conseguir conectar?
Is he with us? Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Boa tarde, Hugo. Escutamos?
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello from Medellin, Colombia. I heard all the different experiences. Thank you for the invitation. I wish I could have been there with you in Brazil, but unfortunately, we weren't able to be there. We'd like to have the presentation on. I'm Hugo Alexander Diaz Marin. I am the director of the administrative unit Buen Comienzo, the organization that works all issues of childhood in Medellin. And we've been working in terms of hunger mitigation and all other items. And all other issues in Medellin. It is important to say that Medellin so science, technology, and innovation are important. It has 2.5 million inhabitants. Also, there are other 9 municipalities that form the metropolitan area. And this is why we have about 3.5 million people in total. These 3.5 million people are strongly related to the territory because we live in a space, we work somewhere else, and we study in a third location yet. So, well. Can I see the presentation? Back, please, back one. Okay. Medellin has created in 2004 the Buen Comienzo strategy, the Good Start strategy, and it was created in order to mitigate the problems of death due to malnutrition in Medellin. We should say that in 2003, the Antioquia department created the MANA strategy. The MANA strategy aimed at mitigating deaths due to malnutrition in the region. It had 27 children die per 100,000 inhabitants. Colombia had 24 per 100,000 deaths due to malnutrition. Then the Buen Comienzo strategy was created, and this strategy started to connect to other countries. So in 2007 and 2008, it created the 0 to 100 strategy. That was a national level strategy that stressed the fact that Colombia needed to work with the newborns and young children so as to decrease the malnutrition of children up to 5 years of age, so as to work from the point of view of development of young children, so as to decrease the situation of chronic and acute malnutrition in Colombia. So that was a good start. It attracted attention, and the strategy was very important for Medellin, not only because we worked based on this scenario of a global view. We worked on different areas, everything that was connected to food, food follow-up, psychosocial items, boys and girls, and it became a potential for development in Medellin. In 2020, Daniel Quintero took on the challenge of decreasing gradually chronic malnutrition in Medellin. When he established that goal, I think I should mention something. I should stress that our development plan was created without taking into account what was going to occur in the planet with COVID. The pandemic meant going back in time. In the same summit years ago, Hambre Zero, held in Ecuador, we had the same goal of decreasing chronic malnutrition on the planet. According to the report of FAO last year, with COVID, we went back almost 10 years in this goal of decreasing malnutrition on the planet. So when we established this strategy, we wanted to work to decrease malnutrition of our children. However, when the pandemic hit us, we needed to develop a series of other alternative strategies to allow the Medellin population to have access to food security in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 generated an increase of unemployment in the country. In Medellin, it was about 25% unemployment, which led to hunger. And the municipality needed to find strategies to meet its goals. Next slide, please. With this goal of decreasing malnutrition scenarios in Medellin, other strategies were created. It wasn't just Buen Comienzo, it was the inclusion, secretariat, education, innovation, economic development, sports. We all joined so as to generate strategies that might allow us to mitigate all the negative consequences of COVID. And these actions are still being practiced. As the previous speaker said, we had the school food program that now services 170,000 children in school age in Medellin. We have food programs that also provide food aid to different families in the city through food baskets. And there's a new program enforced as of January. The community canteens, the community restaurants, which will allow us to feed 20,000 users, thus increasing food security in the city. Next slide. $130 was a tool developed in 2007 in Colombia, and it brought with it several challenges. We in Medellin took on these guidelines and strategies, and then we developed actions and we implemented projects for each one of these 4 lines of food security. Under availability, we organized the school pilot food program and organized it with the school food program, trying to focus the most vulnerable population in the city. We should also say that Medellin became one of the 3 epicenters of migrant displacement of our brothers from Venezuela. About 200,000 Venezuelans came to our city. As a consequence, the city needed to provide strategies to feed this population. Food security was certainly one of the core problems to resolve. So we needed to articulate different projects and strategies and implement this exercise through territorial staff so as to provide different services to this population, the migrant population. We worked hardly to assure, as a minimum, 70% of the calorie and protein intake that a child needs through all these programs, increasing the intake in schools about 25%, and we increased it to 35% in an accelerated fashion so that our children could have the best nutritional intake. As the previous speaker said, although Medellin has a lot of rural area, it produces only 3% of what we consume in Medellin. So in terms of food sovereignty, we have an enormous gap to fill. We need to face agricultural production. Now we have the same area going around different production units, collecting production from these farmers and take them from to distribution hubs, eliminating outsourced channels that increase prices, first of all, and that, as a second result, the income to the farmers are decreased, and most of the income is stays in the pockets of the outsourced distributors. We try to overcome this. Together with FAO, in an agreement with FAO and different departments, we try to increase our agricultural production as well as filling in the gap between consumption and production of food in Medellin. And finally, we've been working on strategies to decrease waste, food waste, so as to have less food being wasted in the cities, so that our institutional projects result in food for our population. Our final commitments involve, first of all, can you put the last slide, please? The first challenge is the consolidation of the model to face chronic malnutrition. In that respect, we've been talking to our President Petro a few days ago, and we were talking about our role in food production in Latin America and how we must play a leading role so as to eradicate this war for food. Here, we, all as countries, must implement policies for the benefit of food security. We must fight to protect Latin America and its biodiversity. And in that respect, we must have a broader choice. We must supply local consumption, but also we must provide more food for other regions of the world that do not have food available. And we need to fight chronic malnutrition, working directly with the Colombian Institute of Family Food Programs. We have implemented a program for the reduction of food waste, a beautiful project with this company that has been working with the collection of waste in Medellin. And we have implemented a program to generate strategies so that food will not be discarded, but rather be used in composting in the city. So we implemented this program to change habits, and we are encouraging the non-waste of food. We've been working with families and parents, and also in schools, fighting malnutrition on one hand, but on the other hand, we're changing the mindset and fighting overweight, which is a trend worldwide. And breastfeeding mothers, we know that almost 56% of the adult population is overweight. 22% of children in school age are overweight, and about 15% of children from 0 to 5 years of age are overweight or obese. So we need to work on food education. We need to provide nutritional education so families to take on adequate food habits. And finally, I'd like to invite you all, different cities and countries, we should go on working together. We should generate fora for discussion and strengthen the instruments, because phenomena such as the Ukraine war have generated the lack of supply of some inputs in Latin America, inputs that are essential for the agricultural production. And swine production. So we must organize ourselves as countries, as a region, so we are self-sufficient, so that we can advance with our food sovereignty in Latin America. Also, we can contribute in doing so to food sovereignty in the planet. Thank you all for your attention, and thank you for inviting me to share with you our experiences. I'd like to stress once again the importance of us working together so we can eradicate hunger in Latin America. Thank you.
Fine, thank you very much. It's interesting. Good beginning. It's a strategy oriented towards working on food security in early childhood in Medellin. We are short on time, so the idea is to be able to turn the floor over to the speakers for 1 minute for final remarks, after which we'll adjourn the technical session. how fortunate we are to be sharing experiences here this afternoon, such diverse experiences, diverse in terms of the demands and the supply. But the most important thing is that this collective is a collective, the objective of which is to fight hunger, to promote sustainable development, people's lives, those who are demanding food and those that produce food. So may we truly have a dialogue in South America, in the cities which are signatories to the Milan Pact, that we work collectively to confronting the challenges which are varied in various different contexts, but which are also similar across cities. So thank you very much, one and all. Hello, you can hear me, okay? I'm happy to have participated in this panel and sharing with all of you in the audience. And in fact, I realize that we're not alone in this struggle. We are a huge team concerned with food security, and we have been doing in Chone, Ecuador, creating public policies to ensure food security and thinking the development of our city, but above all, our people, because it's who we're working with and for. So we help to be able to move forward everything we've been achieving and the people that benefit it from it. May they be the people themselves. Thank you very much. I would like to highlight here that in each city here, everyone links to the local reality with the other secretariats and departments to interact, to find solutions on the issues of hunger, sustainability, and the issue of the environment. And this forum here is truly has raised the bar in this networking and what we've done in each of our cities, in each of us in our local communities, and a greater challenge for South America in exchanging these experiences. These are the experiences here from each city and town, which will make us join forces and do the best for everyone involved to have a better world and a better life for our people. So thank you very much. Yes, it's clear that the local problems are the ones at the end of the day the local communities have to give the answers and the responses in the complex context. They're the ones who have creatively have to produce a policy for citizens. That's why initiatives like this and a forum on food security is crucial for beyond voluntary activity and creativity with more or less local funding. It can have a common wager in this area to have more assertive policies and more support to be able to work on an issue which is that of the agenda for the next 5-10 years, which various different contexts. The pandemic had gotten into this issue of deepening the issue of food security and the issue of One Health, which has to do a lot to do with this issue, and FAO and the war in Ukraine has accelerated this and with access to food and in commodities and generated greater inequalities and greater problems amongst the people who have the least. Along this line, I think that this is a forum that links these issues and making them more visible is a great wager for local communities. So thank you very much, and the authorities and officials who support them. Thank you very much. Yes. Medellin, would you like to add something? Hugo from Medellin, adding something to those with your final remarks in one word. Hugo, I think you can't hear us, right? Hello, Hugo? Yes, I want to thank you all for the opportunity and the space here. Various Latin American cities and countries are in this struggle, fighting against hunger. This process, we should transmit it to other cities to embrace this commitment. The cities have fought hunger will be better prepared for the pandemics in the future. The pandemic of the future will be famine. So we want to thank the organizers of the forum and invite all of you to engage in a permanent dialogue with communication, fluid communication, where we can share our experience and to be able to feed on each other's knowledge in the regions and cities, solutions that they've been implementing and the work that we've done in each territory. So thank you very much and for impelling this kind of and driving this kind of initiatives, strengthening this common endeavor in Latin America. So thank you very much. Fine, and to close this technical session, I want to thank the Mercocidades initiatives. It's important for the region to have your presence here, and of course the 4 cities and their representatives for sharing these practices, these innovative in food and nutritional security, which are inspiring in a regional context and global complex, which is so complex as at present. Without a doubt, the urban food systems are capable of producing through sustainable technique and inclusive techniques, local responses, effective ones for the challenges that emerge in the major global crisis. So congratulations, everyone, and thank you very much for sharing these experiences with us.